Welcome, everybody. Today is the ninth episode of the Advanced Dungeons and Dynamics 365 configuration live stream. And for those of you that don't know what I'm actually doing here, and sometimes I may not either, I'm going through and setting up Dynamics 365. Just Dynamics 365 finance and operations, really from soup to nuts. So I'm going through and I've started off with a blank system, and this is the ninth episode. So we've already done a little bit around the configuration and part of the general ledger setup that we've been moving through. But we're going to continue on the series, hopefully right to the end. We've got a lot of content, and show you all the nuts and bolts and all of the different configurations within Dynamics 365 that are required just to get a base system up and running. And it's really not a lot, but it is some work to set up. I think people who have gone through my training say that they've spent around about 16 hours or so, usually going through, and then they've got a implementation of Dynamics 365 with general ledger, with accounts payable, receivable, cash and bank management, product information management, the inventory, sales, and purchasing, just to get the base system up. And I've found that this is a really good learning experience, and which is why I'm going out and I'm doing exactly what you would be doing if you're setting up the system. So I'm setting up Dynamics really from scratch, and I'm going out and using my own documentation and trying to find out where there are bugs in the documentation along the way and where things are missing, so that I can improve it for you all. And just to give you a little bit of an idea, what we're running through, or what we've been setting up, is this our Dynamics 365 Advanced Dungeons and Dynamics 365 Lab. And this is a clean version of Dynamics, and it's got a little bit of customization to it, not a lot, mainly around the currencies and the localization information in the system. Because what we're doing is we're trying to have a little bit of fun, and we're setting this up within with the context of sort of the Dungeons and Dragons. And for you all that aren't D&D fans, and I may hear you groan, but I don't mind. It's fun for me, and it's fun for a lot of people. And also, there's a great surplus of knowledge and things around purchasing and sales and pricing that's available. Like, just to give you an idea, this is one of the guides that I use, which is Volo's Guide to Waterdeep, Waterdeep is the main city that we're selling all of our stuff in. And we're going out and we're trying to keep in theme, and that makes things a little bit fun. So what we're going to do today is we're going to continue through the setup, and we're going right now. We're working through the general ledger, really the base bones of the system. And in the previous episodes, we've gone out and we've set up the chart of accounts. We've set up some main accounts. We've got a basic chart of accounts that we can use. In the previous episode, I found some accounts I need to add, like taxes and small things like that. But we can we're moving through this, and right now we're working on the ledger, the journal components. Let me just take a drink. And the journal, up until now, we've gone out and we've created the journal names, and we posted a couple of journals, and then in the previous episode we created some journal templates or voucher templates that we can go out and manage. But now we're going to work through the setup and finish off this one module with setting up some reason codes and using those in some postings to see how those work. And I think there's one other item that we're going to get to today as we move through. So this, what you're seeing here is my documentation. You can go and pick this up if you want. It's gone. It's a 5th edition, so it's gone through a lot of iterations. If you've purchased my first iteration, it was functional, but we've tried to add a lot more context to this to make it a little bit easier. So we're going to work through this, and we're going to set up some journal codes. Now, journal codes are used, or ledger codes or ledger reason codes are used just to add some additional context to our postings. So we can add a reason to why we're doing this posting. Now, also these reason codes aren't just for the ledger. As we move through, we're going to see that we're going to set up some more ledger reason codes or reason codes in other modules. So there's some for cash and bank management. There's some for collections, I believe, and other areas. So we're just going to set up the first small bit here, and then later on in future episodes, we're going to augment these and add some more to the system. So let's look at this, and let's create one. We'll create the first one, which is an adjustment journal entry. So let's return back to the desktop. And what we're going to do is we're going to find the ledger reason codes. And I'll say this every time I do it. I always search through the menu search that we've got here, because it's I know what I'm trying to find, and it's easy to do a search and say I want to find the ledger reason codes, and it'll take us directly to the page for the ledger reasons. Now, add some light here. So this is one way, but also notice as we set this up, we can also access this through the menu, and it's giving us our shortcut for the general ledger journal setup. So if I go to the general ledger, and then let me go to journal setup. So it's general ledger, chart of accounts, journal setup, and reason. Let me find that. Let me just look at this. So it's general ledger, journal setup. So let's try this once more. Journal setup. Ledger reasons there. I couldn't find it. So this is another reason why I don't use the main menu as much as I use the search, because sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. It was this ledger reason code was just popping out there, and it was right there in my face, and I couldn't see it. So this is going to take us to the ledger reasons form. Now, if I just look for reasons, then what we're going to see is we're actually going to see other, I'll talk about this right now. We can see the other reason codes that are set up in the system. So there's some in human resources, and then there'd be some other further down that we're accessing. But right now, we just want to access the ledger ones. Now, if all I'm going to do here is I'm going to say I want to create a new code, and I'm going to create an adjustment. And this is going to be call a general adjustment. And save this. Now, this has been marked, because I'm accessing this through the ledger reasons, then it's going to have this marked as a ledger reason code. When we go and see more of these, then what we'll see is there'll be a intermingling of these reason codes, and you can reuse these within different modules if you want, directly just by checking them, and we'll see that later on, probably in future episodes. So we've gone out and we've done that. Let's go out and add some more. So what we're going to do is we're going to add one for data entry errors. And this comment that is popping up is going to be the default comment that pops up when I go and use this reason code. So what we can do is we can tailor this message to say different information. So, for example, if I choose miscellaneous, then what I can do is I could say miscellaneous adjustment, please use a comment. So it's going to it's not forcing the user to add a comment, but it's highly recommending that. And I can go out and I can create a write-off. So now we've gone out and created some journals. Now, also what we can do is there's additional reason codes that we can set up. So in the training manuals, what we've got is we've got a number of items here, and we've also got some that are not real world, but they're associated with Faerûn. So say, for example, if we wanted to have a justification for a magical expense, then I could go out and I could add that. And I could say, make it magic expense. And I could say, please specify the spell. And now we've gone out and we've set up a number of these journal codes. So we can continue and create these, and these are organic. So these are really just for reporting so that we can use them in the system. So you can start with the base setup, and then you can configure even more as you're trying to classify different items. Now, with the financial tags, that's another way that we can go out and embed reasons into our journals. But for now, we're just going to work with the simple process here and set up the journal codes. So now that we've done that, oh, sorry, I didn't switch over. So actually what I did while you weren't watching was I created this magical expense here, and then I added the description. But as we said, these are organic, and we can add more along the way. So let's return back here. And what we're going to do now is we're going to run through a process. So we're going to use the ledger. We're going to create a journal entry, and then we're going to use it inside of the journal so that we can have our reason code, and so that we can track that. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a journal here, and we'll just do a miscellaneous expense as we've been doing up until now. And then, but what we're going to do is we're going to mark it with a reason code. So let's go back here to the surface, and let's find our general journals. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new journal, and this is going to be a general journal. I'm going to go into the lines, and I'm going to say that this is miscellaneous expense, miscellaneous charge, put a significantly vague message in there, and then this is going to be paid out of the coin on hand. So let's look at that. So that's the cash on hand in Faerûn standard dollars. And then this is going to be a credit for 100 FSD. So now that we've gone out and created that, we've got the lines that are associated with this. Now what we can do is we want to go out and mark this with a journal reason code. So what I can do here is I can go out and I can move to the general tab, and I can say that this is a magical expense. So what we're doing is we're adding some reasons and some information. This is a good point to show just one of the items. Notice I went out and we were inside the inside the journal voucher. And we have all of these other subtabs. So sometimes these tabs show across the top, sometimes they show down the side. I'm not quite sure what the official name is. I'm calling them a sub-tab. I asked the community, and someone said it's a table of contents, but I'm not quite sure about that. And what we can do is we can swap and we can see other information. So I went to the general tab, and that gave me the magical expenses. And I can also go and change the currency if I want, and I can say when the posting is released. We can also go and look at invoice information, payment information, history around this, or with anything that we may be changing, and remittance and payment information. But we're just interested in this here. So I'm going to save this and then show one other item, because I'm back here at the general journal before I post it, and I can get over to the main details that we've got here. But let me go back into the lines. If I wanted to have the reason code showing up here, I'm thinking this will work. Then what we can do is we can personalize this view. And let's see if the reason code shows up. Okay. I was thinking that the reason code would show up here on the lines, but it doesn't. So let's bypass that. But what we were doing was we were trying to change the personalization, maybe on the header, but I'm not going to fuss around with that right now. So let's post this. And the good thing here is that we can go out. So now we've posted this, and now we've got a reason code associated with it. So it's going to be differentiated from all of the other reason codes that we've got set up in the system. So this is how we configure different reason codes and also track them on our posting. Now so I'm just looking through the documentation. Now, one final item that we're going to get to is going out, and I showed this in one of the earlier sessions as we were working through this. And I bypassed the importing in of the Excel templates. We'll maybe look at that later on. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at the journal inquiry. So we're going to think this is the final section that we've got here inside of this view. So all we're going to do here is we're going to look at these journals that we've created and drill into some of this information. So let's go back to the surface. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and I'm going to open up the voucher transactions. So I'm going to go into the inquiries and look at the voucher transactions that we've got here. So what I can do is I can go out and search on any field that we've got here in the system. So this is, we could search on the voucher name or the voucher entry or the account or whatever we want. We've got so few journals here that I'm just going to continue through, and I'm going to look at all of the journals that we created. So we can see that we've got all of these journals, including the ones that we created today. And then we can look at the individual postings that were here, and we can go through and drill into all of the details. So if I wanted to look at this this transaction, and this was for $100, so we're sort of doing some forensics here, then I can go into the transaction origin, and it's going to take me up to the ledger transaction that we have here. And also we can look at the the journals that were created. If this was a single line journal, then it would show us a single line journal and some other items as well. Also, we can go out and look at the transactions that were created this, and we can see that here's our journal that we created within the system, and we can see more information. This is was done in a batch process here as well. And also, if I want to look at the voucher, then it's going to take me back to the voucher. So what we can do is we can sort of wander through our transactions and see everything that's being created in the system. Now, later on, what we can do is we can go out and when we get more transactions, we can use the accounting source transactions. And also, if we run a trial balance, don't know whether we'll have any here, but let's calculate these. Then that will allow us to go through into the details. So actually, I think this is not showing us any transactions because of the main account set that I'm choosing. So that was a waste of time. So what we've done is we've gone out and we've set up some reason codes. We've started tracking these against our transactions or our journals in the system. And we've got this little extra auditing sort of technique that we can use. And we've got this set up. This is sort of like the icing on the cake or preparation for later on as we go out and set some more items up in the system. So what we're going to do is we're going to stop here and finish off this section. I knew this was going to be sort of like a short demonstration to finish off this item. And then in the next episode, I think we're going to work with some allocation journals. So we're going to do something a little bit more advanced. I believe that's the next section. And then do some more journals, but create some more advanced journals in the system. Now, if anyone has any questions, then don't hesitate to drop a note in the comments. If you like this, then click like, and that helps sort of promote this exercise. If anyone's interested in doing this themselves and following through exactly the same transactions that we are running through ourselves, then just drop me a note. We've actually got lab environments that are set up and configured exactly the same way as this. So I'm using exactly what you would be using. And you can run through this probably in a more accelerated schedule than me, which is just a time like 30 minutes a day to go out and set this up. But it should give you a good idea of some of the configurations and the setups, and that give you a foundation for dynamics and how that works. So until the next episode, I'll stop here, and everybody have a great day, evening, morning, whatever time zone you're in.